Hey guys, it's Oakley Ramos here. Welcome back to our sports broadcasting podcast. I'm here with our one and only new remarkable coach, Coach Teresa Cisneros. How do you say that last name?
Cisneros.
Cisneros, a new coach of the girls' soccer team. Thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Of course.
So you're new to GV, correct?
Yes.
Why did you decide to take up the job as the girls' soccer coach?
I've actually been coaching girls soccer for many years. This is my 10th year coaching high school. And I've been at Saugus my last 7 years. So when the opening at Golden Valley came, I applied for it because I've been coaching JV and Frosh. So
You decided to come because
to take on a new, a new challenge, basically. And actually, my first year coaching high school was here at Golden Valley, the Frosh team. And then I went on with the coach who was here at the time. He moved high school, so I went with him. And I just, wanted to try something new. And this program I know needs somebody to stay for a while. No one's really stayed more than a couple years, so I wanted to give that a try too.
So what do you hope to happen in the future with the team?
I hope for us to grow and to get more students involved. The girls' side has had a lot of trouble recruiting a little bit, especially on the Frost side. We have a lot of players who've never played before. So we want to grow the program and just kind of change the mentality, grow the confidence of the girls, and help them out both academically and athletically.
So how has it been at GV so far, and how have you been enjoying it here?
I actually really enjoy it. I like the girls, and admin's been great, and I work in the special ed department, so enjoying that as well. The wind is something I'm not used to, and the cold, that's something I could do without. But other than that, it's been a great experience so far.
What are your expectations for the team?
So we're talking about that now. We had our first game yesterday, and it didn't go exactly how we wanted it to. But we're missing a few players, and a lot of girls got beat up a little. So we're just taking it one day at a time, just trying to grow and connect and grow that bond, and just keep improving. I really think they can be competitive in league this year.
What was your first initial thought taking up the job to be coach, and then your thoughts when you saw the team?
I was nervous because it was my first time. I've been a head coach for many years, but not a head of the entire program. So it was something new. And, the demographics at every high school is different, even though we're in the same league. I was excited. It was different at Saugus. There's a lot more people who do come out for summer camp and stuff. So the low numbers worried me a little bit initially. But, we saw the talent and the heart of the girls and their willingness to come out and kind of give me a chance. And so we're all learning from each other and gaining that trust and, building on that.
So you were worried there wasn't enough players?
I was in the beginning, yes.
What makes you different from the other coaches we've had in the past?
I mean, I don't know them personally. The biggest thing is I am a female. I think there's a different connection you can make coaching. Just being a female coach, I feel like there's a different connection you can make coaching girls sports a big part of what I do. An important part for me is always like building that team bond and that team, supporting each other, not like screaming and yelling at each other if you get frustrated. And not to say anything against male coaches, but sometimes they don't notice those things or if there's tension as much. So that's a big thing for me.
How do you think the differences that you have from the other coaches will help the team?
I think building that connection and kind of, obviously we have constructive criticism and we learn and we grow from every game and every practice. But I also try to focus a lot on the positives, what they did do a lot of times with, I know a lot of times with girls, they harp on, the mistakes they make. And they apologize a lot. And so I try to reverse that, point out the things that they did right instead of focusing on the things that they did wrong. Obviously, we do work on those things, but it's kind of like, okay, you did this, so let's work on this and how we can kind of explain to them and show them how making those slight differences will help instead of beating down their confidence. So I do have, in the past had a lot of players say their confidence has grown a lot when playing for me.
How long do you think you'll be here, and what are you hoping to do overall?
I feel like that's the $1 million question. I do plan on being here for a while. It is something that I told them when I interviewed. It's something that I've told the girls. They've had 3 head coaches in 4 years, and that's a lot of turnover. It's hard to build something when you're getting new coaches that often. I was at Saugus for 7 years, so I don't have any plans of leaving anytime soon. Once I'm I dedicated to this program and trying to build and take it to the next level. So that's kind of my plan. We're starting, we said we're going to build from the bottom up and really just work on being competitive and growing, the team, the the record, everything, and try to get more girls out and build from that.
So with the team, how do you hope to connect everyone?
Well, sometimes they get along too well at practice. We are starting to work on some team bonding. We're talking about that today. Do some team dinners and team lunches, things like that. And then just there'll be team bonding things we'll do throughout the season. There's a couple things I like to do where they actually kind of talk to each other as teammates and highlight what they enjoy, or what they appreciate of each other. So it's not just coming from me or like their parents, like hearing it from other teammates, I think helps.
Well, how have you connected with the team?
I think I'm getting there. Again, I knew coming in that it was going to be a trust thing because they've had such turnover in coaches. And I knew I was the one who had to build that and I had to, do that. So I'm big on communicating with my players. If someone's hurt, I'm checking up on them. If they're having a rough time, I'm checking up on them, trying to talk to them all individually at practice, if they're hurt or how's school going, how your class is going, what do you need? We're, checking grades weekly to check in on everybody academically, just so they know we don't just like care about them as soccer players, but as people and students.
So your whole connection is based on communication?
Yes, that's a huge part of it.
So what do you like most about being the girls soccer coach?
Well, I love soccer first and foremost. I played for 10 years myself. I played at Canyon and graduated from Canyon and then got into coaching after I got hurt and have been coaching ever since. Just love the game and everyone tells me I'm crazy, but I love working with this age group, like teenage girls. It's a rough, time for girls, and especially in sports, I feel like a lot of times they don't feel like they get the same attention.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just want them to know that they are important and they do matter.
So you obviously have had a long career in like coaching girls like soccer. So what influenced you to take up the job, and how long have you had the passion for it?
Initially I didn't think I would want to coach. It was actually a high school coach of mine. He told me, he said, one day you're going to coach and you're going to be pretty good at it. And I told him he was crazy and said all I wanted to do was play. And then after I got hurt and I was away from the game for a while, it was kind of like I need to get back into the game somehow. And so I was like, oh, I'll just try coaching little kids and see how it is. And it was just kind of, a hobby to keep me in the game. And then it just started growing. And as I kind of started making connections with players at the older age, like it was something that I really loved. Like I always say, I didn't think I'd ever love anything as much as playing until I started coaching. So
What has been
Following students.
what has been the easiest part of being a coach?
the easiest part. That's a good question. Actually, I've never been asked that. I just think, being out there and seeing the love that the girls have for the game and like, loving it myself. So just being out on the field in any capacity that I can is kind of the easiest because I go out there and, there's going to be days where it's windy or it's raining or it's hailing or we have a COVID break and don't know when we're going to get back into it. And, just knowing you can be out there with the girls any way you can is probably the easiest and best part about it.
What's been the most difficult part of being a coach?
It's a tough one too. There's a lot. I think it's, obviously cutting people is something that's very difficult, or having to not play somebody who, works really hard and maybe just isn't there for that game where you get a game flow. It's really hard because I know how much they love it and how much they're doing it. And you wish you could play everybody and play them all full games, but it's, it depends on the day and the game and how it's going. So it's definitely hard sometimes because I know they are hard on themselves.
Yeah. You talked about quarantine, like COVID stuff. How was quarantine for you?
It drove me crazy. I realized I am not a work from home person. I loved hanging out with my dog, but it was just too much time at home. So like the best part for me was being able to get back on the field. I mean, when we first were allowed to, we had to keep 6 feet apart and nobody could touch. And, we didn't know if we were going to have a season that year. So it was tough. It was a tough transition, especially because I was at Saugus. It was the year after the shooting. So it was like shooting and then it was COVID. So it was just, it was tough all the way around.
Well, what do you feel like are the best skills to improve helping your team?
I think communication is a big one that they're still working on. And then honestly believing in themselves, kind of changing the mentality. I think, people don't think this team is good enough or is going to compete. And I think they can and they will. And it's just getting them to believe that they can do that.
So getting them for confidence.
Yes, confidence for sure.
What has been the biggest challenge you've dealt with as a coach, and what's your most memorable moment?
I think COVID year was the most difficult thing I had to deal with. No, the shooting was probably both in different ways, because after the shooting, it was a week before our first game. So it was very much, that season was very unique in many ways. It was, deciding that it doesn't matter anymore. What we do this season, it's about keeping everybody safe and happy. And, some days people were having a hard day and we would just say, okay, we're not practicing. We'll just have a fun day. And then COVID, everybody struggled that year. And so it was tough, especially their season that's supposed to be months long was a month. But at least they got something. And then most memorable. I've had a few. A few years ago, I had a team at Saugus, 5 years ago, and it was the Frosh team, and they went undefeated in league and scored 92 goals and only allowed 3. And no, I think they scored 97 goals. And they were just a great group of girls. And I got to see them graduate last year. So it was, I saw them through the entire program. So it was kind of cool to watch them grow and still be able to be there for them, even if I wasn't their head coach there last year, but just being able to keep that bond. And, every once in a while I'll get an email or a phone call from an old player, telling me what they're doing, or, checking in from college or asking for advice. So that's pretty cool too, to make that connection.
Yeah. What are some things you do as a coach that not many people know about?
As far as soccer or outside of soccer?
Soccer.
I don't know. That not many people know about. I feel like everybody knows everything I do as far as soccer. Again, I'm big on reaching out and communicating to the team. A lot of times I'll send game day text messages good luck, just whatever. Sometimes it has a quote, sometimes it doesn't. After the game yesterday, I sent them all a message don't worry, we're growing. It's not, it was a good game. We're proud of you. And just stuff like that I don't know that necessarily everybody realizes. I spend a lot of time trying to communicate and let the girls know that especially when they're having a hard time, that they're not alone.
What's your favorite thing about being a coach?
All of it, except for the things I said aren't easy. I love soccer. I love coaching. I love watching the girls, when they, just have that great game or that great moment and they get so excited or, do something they've never done before. And then the connections and watching them grow those connections and kind of build those friendships and just see them, especially at the younger, they start off, they don't know each other as freshmen, and then all of a sudden they're best friends by senior year. So that's cool to see that too.
Okay, well, thanks for joining me today's episode.
Thank you.
I'm Oakley Ramos, and that's it for this episode on the Sports Broadcasting Podcast. Come back next time for another episode with an amazing guest. Make sure to check out everything that we have planned following and other things that are already out, such as our hype videos and so much more. Thank you and have a good day.